Welcome to Wood Talk. Now, here are three guys who put the fine in fine woodworking. Marc, Shannon, and Matt.
All right, what's happening, everybody? It is show number 561, and on today's show, we're talking about choosing a smoothing plane, tung oil finish problems, and face frames frisked?
He'll read anything.
That's what it says. That's what I'm reading. But before we get to that, I want to let you know that Wood Talk is brought to you by Rockler. Rockler has been helping customers create with confidence for over 65 years. Rockler's giving away a $250 gift card to one lucky Wood Talk listener. Enter for your chance to win before December 31st at rockler.com/woodtalk.
And if you want to help support the show, you can absolutely, totally, positively do so by going to patron.com/woodtalk and signing up to become a patron of this show thing we're doing. We are thanking this time James Carey, Jordan Kelly, and Jams Shop. Making them jams.
Giving them jams. Sounds good. I love it. Yeah, that kind of jam. There you go.
I was thinking
more like
shorts.
jelly.
Oh,
I was thinking of the 1980s shorts.
fine.
Okay, we're on three different wavelengths there. All right.
I'm just old. That's
Not in
really...
sync at all. All right. I think we'll just, I don't think we have any kickback, so we'll just jump to right into what's on the bench. I am doing I'm going to call it version 2 of my shop. So in...
Version 2 this
version
month.
2 of your shop, huh?
Why are you guys laughing at me? What's wrong with you?
I think you missed like the 0, version 20, maybe.
No. Of the firehouse shop.
Oh,
you know,
modifiers. Okay.
From a software perspective, version 2, like that's a big deal. But like 1.6, 1.741, like...
Yeah, well, now that you mention that, I actually feel like we've been in the beta version of this shop. This is now 1.0.
Oh, so this is like the production release?
Yes, this is the
Nice.
one that's ready for public consumption, except for don't come here. It's
Don't come here and consume my stuff.
yeah, no consuming here, please. But yeah, it was an opportunity. I mentioned last time that Jason quit, and in that process, I started to look around and go, well, we just got functional. The whole point of him helping me in this first year was to make this place safe, functional, and to make it so that I could build stuff. And we got to that point, but there were still some things that were like super frustrating. You know, that one tool that there's just no outlet nearby and you have to leave it unplugged. And then I have to go and plug it in. Or like two tools that have to share a leg of the dust collection. So I'm constantly swapping those out. This is stuff that just pisses off people who have small shops and have to roll around their tools. They don't want to hear this crap. But I'm in here every single day. And if I have to stop what I'm doing to hook up dust collection, to plug something in, it's a huge hindrance. It really bugs me. And it's just a workflow thing.
Man, imagine if you had to like stop and move a camera.
Well, that's just my life choices haunting me daily. It's a whole different thing.
Imagine that annoyance.
I guess maybe I got to give myself a little bit of credit there because I do have that level of thing that other people don't have to worry about. Like I just want to be able to turn a tool on and go because I have this other crap to deal with.
Yep, I'm with you.
I'd like to be able to move the camera without like bumping into stuff. Like
That would be fun.
I think it's Mark. You had at least a while your tripod on like a little wheelie.
Yep, I still do.
Thingy. Yeah. Like I thought about that and no. It's like I'm
It's a
constantly
big
having to
footprint.
angle the tripod and like thread it in between things to get it.
Yeah,
places.
especially in a smaller shop, that would be a nightmare. I can only do it because I have big walkways. But even then, if I have to get through, maybe there's a couple of tools, there's a vac in the way, I got to lift the whole thing. And now it's heavier because it's got a stupid dolly and casters. So yeah, it could be a real pain in the butt. But it's our choice.
You got to put like a dozer blade on the front of your tripod there. Just plow everything out of the way.
There you go.
Like a bee plow.
Mad Max style. Just get out of the way.
I think that's more of a cow catcher than a dozer blade.
Yeah. Okay. So
Two
anyways.
Oreo catcher.
Oreo catcher. Yeah. Speaking
There
of,
you
he
go.
hasn't shown up today. I don't know where he is. He's out partying on the weekend. So this was my opportunity to put some T111 on the walls, my classic look that I like in the shop, and then also functionality, being able to screw things in anywhere I want. While I was doing that, I had a couple other circuits that needed to run, so now I've got more outlets along the walls. And it was just an opportunity just to look at the flow, decide what was working this whole time and what wasn't. And I think like we probably all field questions about shop setup and stuff like that over the years. And that's one thing I would like try to stress to people is don't get too caught up in version 1 because you don't really know until you're working in the space where those limitations are. You're just taking your best guess the first time. And then from that point on, it's a constant evolution over the years where even sometimes just moving one thing into this other spot, suddenly it's so much more convenient. And now you just enjoy your time in the shop more. So that's what this version 2 or version 1.0 was about, is refining those things, making sure power is where I need it, dust collection is where I need it, and then just kind of, stuff related to workflow. I didn't like where my bench was. It was all the way by the front door. I found I was not using my workbench very much. And it wasn't like it was that far away, but workflow wise, I just didn't find myself going past the bench that often. So I would often wind up putting things on the assembly table instead of on the bench. And I would find other places to clamp something to because it was closer. It's just weird nitpicky stuff. So the new location of the workbench, it's near the table saw. It's actually behind the table saw. And the height is just so that if I have a piece that's long enough, I need a little extra support on the infeed side. The workbench is right there, so it's actually really convenient now. So that's been dominating my time since the last show. I mean, it took me about 2 weeks, and now this is of course, ironically, stuff that I really could have used Jay here for to do, like lifting T111 onto the walls and putting furring strips up and attaching all that stuff, wall mounting. My little Powermatic air cleaner dealy whacker, getting that stuff on the wall, moving cabinets, all that fun stuff. So,
I mean, technically you could still use him, but now he uses like heavy machinery to move stuff.
Yeah, I'd have to make room for the machinery.
You'd have to pay union rates too. So
it'd be a whole thing. It'd be a mess. It's just not worth it. So yeah, that's been dominating my time. The only other thing I did was I built a little wine box per Nicole's request for gifts. So just a cute little wine box that's modeled after like a Japanese toolbox, but it's all walnut. Fill it with some walnut shavings, throw in a bottle of wine, and boom, great little holiday gift for a neighbor. So that's it for me. Shannon,
very nice.
What you got going on?
Oh Lord, a lot of woodworking, a lot of finishing, but none of it in my own shop. Yeah, I am about a month away from launching an entire line of exterior cladding at the day job, and it's just kind of interesting. I've been doing a lot of call it R&D, if you will, which is very much like what we would normally do. A single man in a shop, playing with some different profiles, applying finishes, a lot of dyes, things like that, dealing with different textures. And basically, I'm pulling together the species, texture, profile, grain, whether it's flat or quartered, and then the right finish to create kind of the best of breed, all wood cladding. And it's been really kind of a lot of fun because, frankly, it's like the kid in the candy store. Like, well, what wood should I try? Well, there's 7 million board feet to choose from. Let's see, and that's been awesome. And it's like, okay, well, now I want to add a texturization. Well, I can use this hand adds thing. Hand adds, it's a rotary tool. Let's not perpetuate that
effect.
Myth. Hand scraped flooring. No, it's a rotary tool.
That? They don't have you up back scraping everything? Hand tools?
No, definitely not. Now, hand-hewn beams, that's a totally different story. That's still an adds. But playing, okay, now I want to do this texturization, so I'm using a wire brush or a steel bristle brush. Now let's try it with the brass bristles. Now let's try this polymer thing called Tynex bristles, and just getting all this different effects. And then I landed on, essentially, there's 32 elements in this collection. Firmed all that up, and it's like, okay, now I have to reproduce it. I have to scale it. And make sure that I can get that look with industrial machinery. And that's just been so many problems. So many problems. And I mean, to be fair, I'm not surprised. I anticipated that it would be difficult to create a one-off, custom created look and then scale it up so that it can be done, in 6,000 linear feet in an afternoon type thing. But yeah, it's been really educational. And industrial finishing equipment is so cool. this is going to be the next wave, like the CNC wave, that whole thing, that the influencers building big shops that have like giant flatbed and CNCs. The next step is going to be industrial flood coaters and industrial spray machines. They're awesome. Like being able to finish all sides of our project in a single pass with like no lap marks, no puddles on the surface. It's just awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Oh man. And then the sprayer is the same type of thing. You think you have precision on like your Fuji sprayer or like on my Erlex sprayer.
I do not think that.
Have you seen that?
Fair enough.
It's all over the place.
The industrial sprayers, there's 6 heads on this thing. And at first we're like, you know what, let's shrink wrap the inside, like the front panel and everything, just to, try to keep it clean so we can unwrap it and keep the glass clean. It's not necessary. The pinpoint precision. Now, certainly you can spread the fan out wide and throw finish everywhere, but this is designed for like finishing crown molding. So you can imagine that little inside V groove on the crown and getting into the belly of the crown. Well, if you put too much finish in there, it's going to run down and pool in the bottom of the crown. Sure. And the same thing in the bottom of the V. But at the same time, like if you're doing a buff coat, and this is a cool thing, like the buffing wheel is attached, like it's on the infeed side of the spray machine. So it's all one operation. Oh my God, it's so cool. Like this is what's funny. It's like I'm a hand tool guy, but like everybody's got a little bit of Tim the Toolman Taylor in them, I think. Yeah. Like it's just so much fun to play with this.
How is that programmed? Is it based is it just sensors that's picking up the profiles, or do you have to pre-program like a tool path, almost like a CNC?
None of the above. That is possible. We didn't do that. It's manually set up. So essentially the sander we have, it's a 4-head sander. So, and each one of them is independent. So you can turn one off. So you have different profiles on the wheels, on the flap sander itself. And you can position it laterally. You can raise it and lower it. And by choosing the right wheel, like some of the wheels are just, straight across the bottom. Others are kind of sawtooth shaped, and you can move it laterally to get one of the pointed bits down into the point of it. So yeah, there is setup, certainly. And it's actually the other part of this scalability thing is if we're going to do this profile, like how much do we have to factor in? Like time is money, right? So if it takes 30 minutes to set everything up and it takes 30 minutes to clean the machine and finish when you're done, that all goes into the cost per linear foot. So this is the kind of the fun part of all that. There are machines that do have a laser and it will actually line up it's kind of cool. Like it scans it and you get this whirring of servos as everything kind of slots into place. That's actually how our molders run.
Cool.
So you scan, well, actually you just take the CAD profile, and it kind of like you load in the CAD profile and everything's like clicking into place. We still end up running a test board to make sure that things are good and you're not getting burning and stuff like that. But yeah, in this, we're air quotes low tech here. Like you position everything. The sprayers, I mean, the sprayers, they're just like move them around or on, articulating boom arms, very much like our microphones right now, to line those in place. For the most part, we don't actually move those that much. Some of the weirder profiles with the deeper cuts and things like that, you have to, you don't really move the arm, but you adjust the flow and the pressure. But yeah, just that level of like the dials on these things, they go to 11. Like they have all kinds of different adjustments, and it's really crazy. You can get any different kind of look that you want out of it. You can even spray like multiple different types of finish, and the precision is such that I could actually spray stripes onto a piece of case molding. Why? I don't know why you would ever want to do that, but
because you can.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But then there's the whole other aspect of commercial finishing, stuff that technically is available to the general public, but unless you're buying it in 1,000-gallon drums, you can't get it, But then there's also some that's specifically OEM finish. It's like slightly different formulation. Maybe it'll have a slightly different viscosity. Some instances it's missing a polymer or something like that, and it's meant to be top coated. But the quick drying nature of a lot of these finishes and the absorption is ridiculous. Like there's an oil I'm working with that you don't have to apply it to both faces, and it's freaking me out because it's like the board's gonna cup if I don't do this. By the time it gets to the end of the run, it's soaked through to the other end. To the other side, like nutso type stuff. There's and actually this company's called Q-Tech. It's not a secret. They're kind of making a lot of waves in the decking market right now, but they're Australian based, specifically designed for like nasty Australian woods in nasty Australian climates, like applying a decking oil in the bright sun of the outback. I mean, normally that would be terrible because your finish would be drying as fast as you're putting it on. This is designed to not cure and to actually stay active and mobile in the wood. So it soaks in super, super fast, and it actually doesn't cure, but it bonds molecularly. It's crazy. Basically, I kind of hate the buzzword now, but it actually is nanotech in this instance. It's not AI, but it is nanotech. So, yeah. And cool. I mean, like you can buy a can of Q-Tech now, I think for like $117, and there's like 3 distributors in the US. So it's technically available, but like if you're buying it, in 10-gallon, 5-gallon buckets and drums, it's, you have to have distributor things like that. So I've always been a little hesitant to like talk about it. And here I just did, simply because people get really upset. It's like when I talk about these cool types of plywood, it's like, yeah, and no one can buy it. Right. But the only thing I hope is like the whole trickle down tech side of things. Eventually, you have to feel that it's going to hit the consumer market, because right now in the high-end industrial finishing market, there is no skill. Like they're capitalizing on the fact that finishing is a lost art. So everything is idiot-proof. It's ridiculous. And we've started to see that with like the Rubios and the Osmos, just wipe it on and ain't nothing to do after that, Right. But yeah, I love it when I get to like peek into the cutting edge type stuff. Same thing with glues. It's really cool. There's just incredible stuff happening right now.
That's awesome.
The future is now.
Nice.
We have arrived.
All right, Matt. What you got going on?
Well, speaking of molding machines and spraying machines, I'm doing
you
that.
You are a molding machine?
A little more manually than that.
Yeah.
This week I'll be making some crown molding and finishing that. So I'm a little jealous of this machine that automatically finishes all this crap and automatically
would have been done
sets
already?
profiles and everything. Because it's going to be horrible to be hand sanding all of those profiles between all my coats, and after running it through the the knife.
We know how to make it easier for you. Backside sandpaper.
There you go.
I mean, yes, I do have that. That's what I'm planning
Everyone
on
knows.
using.
Okay, good.
What else am I going to use it for?
I don't know. Leveling tables?
If I was only building a table right now instead.
Leveling table legs, I think.
That would be preferable at this point in my life. But, at least I'm getting closer to doing stuff that's finish work again.
That's cool, though.
Which is nice.
Sure.
So I'm almost done with the trim work in the sunroom. So that'll be one room at least done. And
well, how are you applying the finish? You're spraying it, aren't you?
I'm spraying, yeah.
Okay, at least you got that. Like, it'd be worse if you had like to roll it on or brush it on or something.
I hadn't sprayed anything like for real until July. That's when I got that sprayer and started doing actual spray finishing. And I think most people, if they have like a sprayer for like 10 years, they haven't even sprayed as much as I have sprayed in the last 4 months, because I'm on 10 gallons of product already through that sprayer.
Nice.
It's like most people's projects, like, you spray like a quart. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. 10 gallons already, and I'm not even halfway done.
That's good.
I guess. So I really went in the deep end with the whole spray finishing thing.
Yeah.
See, Matt, this is why millwork houses like the one I work for exist. Like, only idiots try to do that level of job.
I'm well aware of how idiotic I am. I never said I was smart.
But you're going to have so much pride.
Nice to custom make every piece to fit, spray it, and then install it, and it fits. That part's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's
There's a lot of weird stuff.
What are you doing for, are you, I know I've seen video of you spraying outside. Obviously getting colder now. What's your spray situation?
I still do that. I spray outside and my drying rack's indoors.
You bring it back in.
Yeah, I just spray it out, bring it apart out, set it down, spray it. I wear my nice big thick gloves, my insulated gloves, and I spray my parts, and then bring them back inside.
Nice.
Dry.
Good
You
plan.
know, the cold while you're spraying is not causing problems?
Not yet, because the pieces themselves are warm. The finish
right,
itself is
right.
kind of warm.
Right.
Yeah, you just got to be
So
fast.
and it's pretty
You're
quick. I mean,
preheating.
it's not like I'm out there
Nice.
like looking at it. I'm like, it's fast enough where the cold doesn't seem to affect it. It's not that cold yet, so we'll see how it really gets when it gets really cold. But
Yeah.
so far it hasn't been
No,
big of
no.
an issue.
As long as the boards are fine. I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
I
good.
did that in Denver a couple times, and as long as everything is warm when you get it out there, you bring it back in pretty soon. It's no ill effects.
It's more like
for me.
you get cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry, this just reminded me. Sorry, I'm going to go back on this little rant. We have a drying room now too. Like,
Of course you do.
Oh,
it's
nice.
awesome. It's a UV drying room where you bring the like, I don't know. It reminds me of like a dentist office where everything's articulating and comes into place. And it's like, it's warm, but it's more of like, if you stand in there while it's on, you start to feel kind of sick because it's like sucking the moisture out of your body.
Like you need some chapstick.
Yeah, it's like infrared, but like the ability to apply like a sopping wet coat of oil. I mean, water-based is one thing, but oil-based, and 5 minutes later it's dry. It's
That's
just
crazy.
awesome.
That's not right.
I need something like that in my life.
Yeah. Sorry.
great.
Sorry. I so rarely get to talk about stuff like this. It's usually, one hand plane pass at a time. So yeah,
Oh,
people
okay.
are now like, don't know what to do when they talk to me.
Yeah.
Is that the problem?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. You've
That must be
identified
it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, you guys know who else doesn't have a good transition for the mid-roll ad?
Good one.
Me.
You know who else
Me.
is difficult to talk to? No.
Not Rockler. They're easy to talk to.
That's
They're
true.
They got some professionals there.
They got that helpline thing. You can call them in this chat for no reason.
They do. All right, so we're
should
going to
do
focus
that.
a little on gift giving. You guys know it's
That
getting,
kind of helpline.
it's getting to be that time of year. You guys stop talking now.
Oops.
It's actually, you guys are going to like this. You're going to want to hear this. Rockler is your go-to source for building your holiday wish list. Don't go on Amazon. That's stupid. Go to Rockler. Set up your wish list there. From router tables to power tools to clamps to custom branding irons, Rockler has a wide selection of hundreds of new products to choose from. And if you're not sure exactly what you want, you can never go wrong with a Rockler gift card. Find the Rockler gift giving guide, plus great Black Friday and holiday deals at rockler.com. That's going to be coming up soon. Black Friday
Scary.
shopping, baby.
Terrifying.
Rockler, I know you're listening. There's your new marketing ploy. Don't be stupid. Go to Rockler.
Don't shop other places. They're stupid. Yeah, you can quote me on that one if you want to. It's fine. Okay, thanks, Rockler. Always
Marc
appreciate it.
says, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Probably
Okay.
the weirder ad reads we've ever done.
Well,
Felt a little off today.
sometimes that's how it goes, Matt.
You want to do another take? You good? We gonna keep rolling?
Let me see. I didn't really think very hard about it. I was so into the trim and the spraying conversation. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm just out of
Okay.
practice here.
Perfect. Let's roll on. Thank you, Rockler.
Alrighty. So here's a good segue. You know who else needs a drying room? Jordan. Because we're going to talk about a drying problem. Okay, Jordan wrote in. We're getting into our questions now, by the way.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
Yep, you and the audience.
Oh.
Jordan says, I recently watched a series of videos on Marc's YouTube channel about cutting board finishes and tung oil finish. They were all super informative and entertaining. I was immediately excited to use tung oil on my next woodworking project, and I did. I did 2 applications, hopes 100% tung oil on my project. Each application spaced about 24 hours apart. I also followed Marc's procedure from the video, aka I did not use the flood treatment. I kept the project in a non-climate controlled garage for about 48 hours after the last application. I noticed when I handled the project, I found oil on my hands. So I brought it in to the house for another 24 hours, but I still found oil on my hands when I touched it. Should I be expecting the oil to harden and eventually no longer leave oil on my hands when the project is handled. Any other advice when using tung oil as a finish? So you guys see this project here. Shannon, when you do the show notes, if you could just pull this photo in there so people can see it. Does that look like pine to you?
Yeah, radiata pine.
Like that.
Yeah? Okay.
It's
I thought it was
radiata.
pine. Okay, so just a couple of red flags here for you, Jordan. I can't be 100% sure, but just a couple of red flags. First of all, when you use an oil like this, pure tung oil, long drying times, and I find that if you use like a softer, potentially resinous wood like pine, it might even be worse, right? Just because it's not as likely to dry as fast. Maybe it's even more thirsty. It's going to absorb more oil a little bit deeper, which means that also increases your cure time. The biggest red flag for me is it's a non-climate controlled garage. Now, you don't tell me what those conditions are, how humid it is, how cold it is where you are right now, but oil really wants fresh air and warm temperatures to cure, and also a dryer, so if you have a drying room like Shannon does, that would certainly have helped in this case.
To be clear, I don't have the drying room.
You have access to one.
There we go. Yeah.
You can walk by it while other people use it. That's something. Yeah. It's still something.
Wave through the little window.
Yeah. Right. So that's a thing. Where you place the project is actually huge, because oils like this kind of oil, they don't really cure in the time frame of hours. You're looking at more on the course of days and weeks for cure time for this kind of oil. So saying you had 24 hours between coats means you probably, especially in an unclimate controlled or non-climate controlled space, you just put uncured oil right on top of uncured oil. So sometimes it's better to leave a little bit more time between those coats to give that first coat a head start on its curing process before you wet it down again. And the fact that it's non-climate controlled 2 days, I don't think that's really very much time for the oil to reach any kind of a cured or dry state. So I think leaving it in the house now is your best option. It will get there. Don't apply more oil. Just kind of leave it and let it sit. If you have a nice warm, dry place, laundry room or something like that, where maybe the smell might bother somebody, but pure tung oil, I don't think it doesn't stink that much, and that looks like a small project, so I don't think it should be too bad. But keep it in the house, keep that warm temperature going, and it will eventually set up and cure. Stop touching it though, because you're getting on your fingers and you're probably smudging it.
Stop touching it.
Stop touching it. But yeah, that's the thing. Oils, that's just kind of how it is.
Show title.
Stop touching it. Okay, there we go. Here, somebody write that in the top. So it's one of those things with these natural oils. They just take a long time to cure. It's a labor of love. It's a bit of a hobby finish. People don't like it when I say that, but what I mean is the finish itself becomes part of the hobby. I don't mean that it's like a low-level finish. It just means you're going to be caring for it over time, or putting more care at the beginning like you're doing right now. That's about it for me. You guys have any other tidbits you could add to that? Or you want to go to Shannon?
I mean, certainly that particular pine is also like, I don't want to say thirsty, but it's thirsty, but that's also a fair bit, and Marc, you can probably correct my science here, but when radiata is prepared and shipped all the way from New Zealand, a lot of times there are chemical bonds that are actually broken, and the extractives kind of are like actively seeking something to bond with.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons it comes across super, super thirsty. But there's also a fair amount of resins that actually chemically react when you use a natural oil, whereas there's synthetic oils and stuff on the market. This is an organic natural oil that is actually reacting to the extractives in the wood itself, and it's actually creating like more oil. It's kind of crazy. This is really, really common with like, tropical jungle woods and things like that, where the tannins and the extractives actually come out. They're drawn out by a natural oil, and it just takes for flipping ever for it to tack up, because it's almost like it's sucking more oil out of the wood itself. So like you put on a quart and there's 2 quarts of oil on there somehow. It's magic.
It's like when you rub an Italian's forehead.
Yeah, exactly.
Oil just comes right
like
out.
that. Yeah.
But this is something that's also pretty common with radiata pine, simply because of how it's dried and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Anyway.
Good deal. All right, you got a little book to read here.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to paraphrase this. Azeem is looking to buy a smoothing plane, and it's obvious that Azeem has put a lot of thought into this, done a lot of research, probably listened to a lot of online wonks like me about all the different aspects to consider when buying a plane. So he's a typical hobbyist type guy in a garage shop. He's got some power tools. He's kind of thinking of moving more towards hand tools, but definitely not, like crazy people like me, much more of a hybrid hybrid woodworker.
I have a book I could recommend.
Yeah, probably.
Hybrid woodworking. If you're interested, just twwstore.com, Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
And what I will tell you, Azeem, is
not a Rockler. What is up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that?
They still don't sell my book. I think the Canadian Rockler sells my book, but they don't.
Yeah, they do. So what?
So,
what
what's up with
happened?
that? I don't know. Every time I bring it up, I hear crickets. I don't know.
All right. Good to know.
Sorry.
Well, now you know, Azeem. And I will tell you, Azeem, I've read that book. I actually have a signed copy of that book. In this particular case, it won't help you.
Oh, dang it. Oh, well, I tried.
What Azeem is talking about is doing some actually milling of his boards. And the one thing that I learned in the hybrid woodworking is I ain't got no time for that. We're not going to be milling boards for that. And he recommends a shoulder plane, which is just cuckoo bananas.
Correct,
there.
Is what you meant to say.
So yeah, he has a low angle jack. He's got an old Stanley, and he's considering, he does not currently have a planer. So he's thinking about getting a lunchbox planer, but for like smaller board projects, he's thinking maybe I wouldn't even use it in the first place, and I would mill my boards. So he goes around the bush about maybe converting a jack to a couple of things, or maybe getting his number 4 and turning it into a scrub plane and all this fun stuff. In the end, he's like, if I camber the iron in my low angle jack to make a 4 plane, I could then buy a smoothing plane for difficult grain. And what would you pick? There's also a lot more in here about all the various things that you can do to defeat difficult grain. And I kind of picked this because I feel like the idea of the super smoother has become overstated. And as someone who works in marketing, I can tell you that as a way to differentiate your hand plane from the other hand planes on the market, you can come up with all kinds of different things. There's also this kind of acquisition mentality. If you're dealing with tear out, well, there must be a tool that can help me fix it. In my experience, certainly there are some gnarly woods out there that just defy everything. And that's what the card scraper's for. That can pretty much fix anything. Or your Rotex sander. That can do a pretty good job as well. My super, quote unquote, super hand plane is Lee Nielsen number 4. And you could remove the Lee Nielsen from it and just say a number 4. The reason I specifically say Lee Nielsen is because I know that it's a precisely ground sole, precisely fettled. The frog is everything is as it should be. If you had a Stanley number 4 that was, set up to the same level, it would work the same, frankly. I've used a Veritas number 4, fantastic plane. It's just a plain old number 4. It doesn't have a higher angle frog, a York Pix frog. It's a bevel down plane. I have used bevel up smoothing planes before, and you can play with the angle and all that. But basically, I'm using a bevel at a standard 45 degree frog with a 25 degree bevel angle on it. And it works great. When I have bad tear out, I can advance the frog to tighten the mouth. First thing, I make sure the blade is sharp. Number 1, make sure the blade's sharp. Number 2, tighten the mouth on the blade. Number 3, move the chip breaker up a little bit to break the chip a little faster. Number 4, skew the plane. Number 5, add a little bit of oil to the wood to soften the fibers. That's mostly an ingrain thing. And that's enough. I haven't needed a bunch of extra tricks and gimmicks. I'm not going to deny that they work, but I think what all of that does is really confuse the issue, and it leads to this just utter, what do I do? And you see people that have 6 different smoothing planes set up for all these different situations, and 9 times out of 10, it's just overkill. It's just not necessary unless you just have that gnarliest of gnarly, jungle woods. And I'm not even referring to the figured stuff, because I really have not had problems with, heavily fiddleback maple. Grenadillo, now that's a tough wood to plane, but it's, I think so much of the time we're so focused on all these other extra steps, and there's just tuning of the plane and a little bit of technique. It's going to fix that. Long story short, any number 4 should do the job for you. If you want it to work right out of the box, that's when you consider a more premium supplier like Veritas or Lee Nielsen. Actually, hey folks, they sponsor the show. Bench Dog Planes by Rockler. I have one. Works great. Worked great right out of the box. I'd say the same thing about Wood River from the other Rockler. So we've got the Canadian Rockler, the other Rockler, and the Rockler all represented here. Their premium smoother planes are fantastic. Sorry, I'm on brand here. Long story short, the answer is buy yourself a premium smoothing plane and don't worry about all the other stuff. Don't worry about the higher angle frogs and the different bevel up and bevel down options and the different blades and throwing in a tooth blade and all this stuff. Just a standard blade, standard frog angle. If you're getting tear out, make little adjustments and it will fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
In
Matt.
Sharpen, and then mouth, and then
Sharpen your mouth.
sharpen your mouth, and then something else. Oh, chip breaker, skew it. What the hell was the last one? I already forgot. I gotta go back and listen. I forgot number
enough.
5.
Hey, we
That's
record
enough.
this. So
Buy
you
a
can
new
do that.
plane.
There we go.
That's what I would do.
Buy a better tool. Okay, there's your 5-step program from Shannon.
There you
Buy
go.
it from Vandalist. It's already cambered.
Oh, I forgot to put down who this is from. I'm sorry, whoever wrote this in. Oh, it's right here.
Boo.
Paul. Thank you, Paul. This is from Paul. Paul just saw my buffet cabinet build. Found it interesting the way the case was made. I don't think I've ever seen it done that way before. Seems like a good way to get things lined up. Do you recommend doing this with any face frame cabinet builds? Where did you learn this technique? Also, where are your shoes? My shoes are by the front door where they belong because we don't wear our shoes in our house. And people get angry when I walk through the house with my shoes on.
Oh,
So,
boy.
there's that. Also, the
Yikes.
floor is heated, so it's kind of nice to work in your socks.
Oof.
So there's that.
Look at you.
Okay, we talked about this in a recent episode, so I thought this would be more like a follow-up thing on the face frames first technique of things. So I first saw this technique, at least over a decade ago, and I was trying to look it up. I cannot figure out what program, what system it was. It was some ad for some DVD you could buy. That's how old this was. Where it was like a system of making like the face frames first, and then you put a dado or a groove in the back of your face frames, and you rabbet all your panels to fit into your face frames. So that was the first time I saw that. And that was before I even like wanted to build cabinets, thought about building cabinets, or actually it was at an early point in my woodworking where like building your own kitchen seemed like a really cool thing to do, like a smart thing or a fun thing to do. That's how long ago that was.
When I was young and naive.
But I was very naive and young back then. Yes, I was still in my 20s. For some reason, that just stuck with me through like my creative decision-making process of all this. And to me, it makes a lot of sense to do face frames first because the face frame is the only part that actually matters, at least as far as the box is concerned. There can be a lot of inaccuracy in your box. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. But if your face frame is wrong, the whole thing is wrong. That's my perspective on how that all worked. The other big advantage that I mentioned the last time with doing the face frames first is that I can bring the face frame into the space and confirm that it's right. So for someone that hasn't done any cabinetry, any built-in, any kitchen fitting, my level of confidence is like at the floor. So being able to actually like see it and be like, okay, this is actually going to work. When I make this, add all this plywood to this thing, it'll still fit the space and it is the right size for everything it needs to be. That's probably less of a concern if you're doing a less fully built-in custom kitchen than I am. If you're doing stock sizes and you're laying out into an open wall where you're going to go into drywall, and if your cabinet run is an inch or an inch longer, an inch shorter than what you was supposed to be, doesn't really matter. It probably doesn't matter as much. But in my case, I need cabinetry all the way across to like an opening. It has to land perfectly to the jamb of that opening without using any fillers anywhere. Again, just having it all in there, you can lay it out, make sure it all works, and then you can be like, okay, now I can cut several $100s worth of plywood and know that that's going to be right. Because the face frame
So
stock is also
you only
fairly
used one sheet of
inexpensive.
plywood?
Ah,
Well, for
Sorry.
one cabinet, maybe. A small one.
Plywood price joke.
I know. It's unfortunate. But it is what it is.
all right.
So that's kind of where that's at. And I thought another kind of corollary thing with the hand plane question that Shannon just had is a lot of people found it interesting since I'm scribing all of my cabinets to the floor that I hand planed them. That seems to like blow people away. But that's a skill that I actually have. Like I can't float a cabinet to the floor with a belt sander. It's just to a pencil line. I can't do it. I can do it really well to a knife line with a hand plane. So that's what I'm sticking with. I have that skill already, and I will continue to use it because I already got that skill. I don't need to
Is
make
that
any new
the
ones.
alternative? Like, of course
That's
you did
what
it
most
that way.
people
How else
do.
would you do it?
They would belt sand it.
Wow. That sounds really
To a pencil
kind of
line.
throw it against the wall type tactic there. I don't know. I mean, I guess
to
there are
me,
people who are really good with the belt sander, so I suppose.
And every time I've used it, even though it's got that platen on it, it still kind of like rounds the edges over a little bit, so you get this sort of undercut thing going on, which I'm not that into. I don't know if it's like, I say carpenters, but they just so used to using pencil lines. Having a knife line though, like when you're there, like that edge phrase, you're perfectly there. There's no guesswork of like, oh, am I into the pencil lead now? Did I just barely touch the lead? No, it's the line. You hit it. If phrase, you're done. You're there. That's it. It's just a furniture maker to me, I guess. Trying to, again, use the skills I already have to do these installs.
Preach it. Preach it, brother.
Nothing wrong with that, though. It's fine. You get it done.
And that's the part I actually like. Like, I don't want to paint this crap. I hate spraying. I want to be
the fun
with the
detail.
hand
You're
plane
doing so
for the
much of
knife
it.
line. That's the only part of the build I like, is actually scrabbing it to the floor. The rest of them, I could do without it.
Everybody walks in the kitchen. You're like, see those down there? I did that.
Oh, it's perfect. It's
did
like
that.
right on it's perfect.
Did that with a hand plane.
All the way across.
How's that make you feel?
Pretty good.
How's that make
I
you
guess.
feel?
All right.
Matt's
I
inferiority
lost
house
my
tour.
point with that. I had this point that I was trying to make to tie back to Shannon's thing about the planes you need. I was scribing frame and panel to the floor. So it's end grain and long grain. Did it with the standard angle number 4. No problem.
Yep.
You don't need any weird plane to plane end grain, plane reversing things. It'll be fine. I planed plywood, maple, long grain, maple end grain, all in one pass.
Look at you.
It'll be fine.
If the blade is sharp, it works just fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, if you go back before belt sanders, carpenters used block planes, and they had a plane. They used the block plane for everything.
Sure.
Wasn't just end grain, folks. It works on face grain too.
I have been using the block plane on the trim a lot. It's nice to, the one-handed. It's nice just to have a plane in one hand. You hold the workpiece in the other one.
I think
You
that's what it's
know how
designed.
hand planes work, Shannon. I don't need to
explain
explain
it
how
to 'em.
hand planes work.
Tell them how
Yeah.
it is. Sell them on it.
You know who else knows how hand planes work? There you go, Mark. Just
There you
keep
go.
that.
Family owned since 1954, Rockler is your go-to source for high quality and innovative woodworking tools, finishing supplies, hardware, lumber, and expert advice. Whether you're building a simple bookshelf, a custom desk, or new kitchen cabinets,
Hey! I know
Rockler
a
has
guy.
everything you need to make your next project a success. Visit rockler.com and use the code WOODTALK, all one word, to receive free shipping on most orders over $49. And remember to head to rockler.com/woodtalk to enter for your chance to win a $250 gift card.
Yeah, and if you win it, you could re-gift it to that special someone.
That's right.
That's what the mid-roll dad told
That's
me.
what woodworkers want. They want those gift cards.
Right. It's brilliant. It's good stuff.
Hand me down
You know,
gift card.
Yeah, just keep passing it around. We like your questions, folks, no matter how long they are and how much we have to paraphrase them. We like them. So keep sending them in. I especially would like to hear from folks who have jumped into that project and they thought it was a good idea in their 20s and now have realized why it's not a good idea. Like, how many of you have had that project that you've been thinking about building and you put it off for a couple decades and decided to build it and realized, why didn't I just hire a contractor to do this? And then I could have, still hand planed everything to the floor, to scribe to the floor, and the contractor could have built all the boxes. So, yeah. Anyway, send in those questions, those stories to the Wood Talk Show, woodtalkshow.com, or email us at woodtalkshow@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We love you all.
We do. Very good. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.